25 ways life was different before electricity. 1. Candlelight and kerosene lamps. Imagine a world where every night ended not with the flick of a switch, but with the soft, trembling light of a single flame. Before electricity reached American homes, evenings were shaped by candlelight and kerosene lamps. Families crafted their own tallow candles from animal fat, or, if they could afford it, bought paraffin candles that burned cleaner and longer. By the mid-1800s, kerosene lamps became more common, glass globes filled with oil, trimmed wicks carefully adjusted to control the glow. Every household had its ritual, trimming the wick, cleaning the chimney, and lighting lamps, one by one, as the sun slipped below the fields. That gentle light shaped family life. The day didn't end when the sun went down, but the night had a slower rhythm. Mothers mended clothes, fathers read the newspaper, children whispered over books or played games by the table's golden glow. Light was precious, something to be used wisely, never wasted. Every drop of oil, every stub of candle carried the weight of effort and cost. Those quiet hours by lamplight encouraged reflection, storytelling, and togetherness in a way that screens and bulbs could never quite recreate. What might surprise us today is how dark the nights truly were. Outside the window, the world vanished into blackness, no streetlights, no neon, just the faint shimmer of stars. For many, the flicker of a single lamp wasn't just illumination, it was comfort, security, and even companionship. In that fragile light, families found warmth, safety, and connection. 2. The icebox revolution. Before refrigerators hummed quietly in every kitchen, families relied on something far simpler and far colder to keep their food from spoiling: the icebox. In the 19th and early 20th centuries, the icebox was a marvel of home technology. Built of wood and lined with tin or zinc, it used large blocks of ice, harvested from frozen lakes in winter, to keep food cool through the warmer months. Ice was delivered by wagon, wrapped in sawdust to slow melting. Iceman would carry the heavy blocks on his shoulder, leaving them in kitchen compartments that slowly dripped into a pan below. Housewives learned to manage temperature by experience arranging meats, milk and butter, depending on how quickly the ice melted. For the first time, families could safely store perishables for more than a day or two. Milk lasted longer. Leftovers didn't have to be thrown away. In an age when every resource was hard-won, this simple wooden box changed the rhythm of daily life. It freed families from the frantic rush of daily shopping and allowed mothers more time for other household tasks. The icebox wasn't just a convenience, it was liberation in the kitchen, a quiet revolution powered by frozen rivers.
Ow.
What's easy to forget is how fragile this system was. If the Iceman didn't come, or if summer heat melted the block too soon, everything spoiled. Some children remembered the soft hiss of melting ice and the steady drip into the pan below as a comforting sound, a sign that the home was alive and cared for. The smell of cold air and damp wood became part of family memory, was in its own way the heartbeat of the house. 3. Hand-pumped water. Before the twist of a faucet brought water to every home, families had to earn every drop with hands, buckets, and muscle. In the days before indoor plumbing, water came from wells, springs, or community pumps. Every household had its own system: a deep well in the yard, a wooden bucket on a rope, or later a cast-iron hand pump mounted near the kitchen door. Each morning began with the same rituals. Someone, often a child, would fill buckets for cooking, cleaning, and washing. In winter, the pump's handle froze stiff and had to be thawed with hot water. In summer, it gleamed with condensation as cold water gurgled up from the earth. Water was life, but it wasn't taken for granted. Drawing it by hand gave people a daily respect for something we rarely think about today. A single bath or a load of laundry could mean dozens of trips back and forth from the pump. Children learned the rhythm of carrying 2 full pails balanced on a yoke, the slosh of water echoing through quiet mornings. Families shared the labor because they had to, and that necessity built both endurance and gratitude. What's easy to forget is how dangerous and fragile those wells could be. Contaminated water could bring sickness. A broken pump could mean a long walk to the neighbor's farm. Yet, for many, the pump was the heart of home life, the place where news was shared. Hands were washed before supper, and laughter rose between chores. The sound of the squeaking handle and the splash of fresh water wasn't just routine. It was reassurance that the household and the people in it were still thriving. 4. Wash Day Mondays. Before detergents and spin cycles, laundry day wasn't a chore, it was an all-day event, fueled by muscle, soap, and the will to keep a family clean. In the 1800s and early 1900s, nearly every household knew what Monday meant wash day. After Sunday's rest, women rose before dawn to haul water from the pump, heat it over a wood stove, and fill great steaming tubs. Clothes were scrubbed by hand on a washboard with lye soap, wrung out and hung to dry in the open air. Every stain was a battle, every bucket a burden. The air smelled of soap and smoke, and lines of white shirts and aprons fluttered like flags of victory in the yard. Washing wasn't just about cleanliness, it was a statement of pride. In small communities, people judged a household by the whiteness of its linens or the crispness of its collars. Wash day became part of the rhythm of family life. Monday for washing, Tuesday for ironing, Wednesday for mending. It was hard work, but it gave families a sense of order and accomplishment that modern conveniences can rarely match. What's humbling is to realize how heavy that work truly was. A single load of laundry could weigh 50 pounds when wet. Fingers blistered, backs ached, yet somehow the work got done, often with a hymn on the lips or a baby resting on the hip. When clotheslines filled the yard, it wasn't just fabric drying, it was proof of a family's perseverance. And while wash day brought order to the household, evenings brought something much softer, quiet time gathered around the warm, flickering glow of the oil lamp. 5. Oil lamps and evening light. Before light switches and glowing screens, evenings were lit by a soft, golden flame of light that invited stories, quiet chores, and gentle reflection. In homes before electricity, the day didn't end with the sunset, it simply slowed down. Families would trim the wicks of their oil lamps and fill them carefully with kerosene or whale oil, striking a match to summon that steady amber glow. Every lamp had to be cleaned, glass chimneys wiped free of soot, and wicks adjusted to avoid smoke. Children would gather near the light to read or sew, while mothers mended clothes and fathers checked ledgers or sharpened tools. It was a time of calm, industria, soft rhythm of life, guided by the lamp's quiet flicker. The oil lamp wasn't just a source of light, it was the heart of the evening. It brought the family together in one circle of warmth, one shared glow in a dark world. Without the distractions of bright lights or machines, people talked more, thought more, and noticed the little things: the creak of the chair, the hum of the night outside, the slow settling of the house as the fire dimmed. Imagine for a moment how that small flame controlled the rhythm of an entire household. When oil ran low, the night ended early. When storms blew, smoke and shadows filled the room. Yet those evenings, simple as they were, carried a peace most of us rarely feel today. The glow of one lamp could make a humble room feel like the whole world. Smooth transition to next point. And as that gentle light faded, another ritual began: the quiet gathering of family stories. It's passed from one generation to the next before sleep took hold. 6. Family storytelling by the fire. Long before radios, televisions, or podcasts, families had one evening show, and it was told by the firelight. In the quiet homes of the 19th century, after supper was cleared and lamps were trimmed, families would gather around the hearth. The fire crackled softly, shadows danced on the walls, and stories filled the air. Fathers might recount tales of frontier travels, while mothers shared old folk tales passed down from their parents. Children listened wide-eyed, their imaginations painting the scenes their world had never seen: ghostly riders, brave settlers, or the mysterious sound of wind through the cornfields. For many rural families, storytelling wasn't just entertainment, it was heritage. Without books, electricity, or formal schooling for all, these stories were how history, values, and humor were kept alive. They taught lessons about hard work, faith, courage, and sometimes survival. These nightly stories created a sense of togetherness that no modern screen can quite replace. The fire's glow gave a sense of safety, and the rhythm of a loved one's voice brought calm after long, exhausting days in the fields. Every home had its storyteller, and those who could spin a good tale were remembered as family treasures, keepers of laughter and memory. What's most touching is that many of these stories were never written down. They existed only in the spoken word, living for a time, then fading with the storyteller's passing. Each retelling changed slightly, carrying traces of each generation's voice. In a way, those old fires didn't just warm the body, they kept the soul of the family alive. And when the last story ended and embers began to fade, another nightly ritual awaited, a quiet journey to bed beneath the chill of darkened halls and handmade quilts. 7. Warming beds with hot bricks and quilts before electric blankets or central heating. Staying warm on a winter night wasn't a given, it was an evening ritual built on care, creativity, and a little bit of firelight magic. In homes before electricity, nights were often freezing. Wooden walls creaked with the cold, and windows frosted over from the breath of the family inside. So before bedtime, someone would fetch a brick or a flat stone, heat it near the hearth or in the wood stove, and then carefully wrap it in rags or slip it into an old sock. That humble, glowing brick was carried upstairs and placed under the covers, warming the sheets before anyone climbed in. Alongside it came the heavy comfort of hand-stitched quilts, layer upon layer of fabric pieced together by mothers and grandmothers over the years. These quilts weren't just practical, they were storytelling stitched in cloth. Every patch held a memory, a worn-out work shirt, a piece of a child's dress, or fabric traded at a country fair. This ritual turned something as simple as going to bed into an act of love. A warm bed meant someone had cared enough to prepare it. For children, it was the small comfort that made cold winters bearable. For adults, it was the satisfaction of knowing that even without modern luxuries, they had all they needed: warmth, family, and the soft glow of the fire below. It's easy to forget how physical warmth once carried emotional meaning. That hot brick wasn't just heat. It was hope, tenderness, and the human instinct to protect one another against the cold. In a world lit only by candles, these quiet acts of care spoke louder than words. And once everyone was tucked in, the house fell silent, but outside, the darkness came alive with a world of its own, guided by moonlight and memory. 8. The night sky as entertainment. Long before glowing screens and streetlights, there was only one show in town, and it played across the heavens every night. In the 19th century, before electricity washed the stars from our skies, the night was a vast, living canvas. Families would often step outside after supper, gather on porches, or sit on the grass to gaze upward. With no artificial light to dull the view, the stars shone brighter than most of us today can imagine, millions of them, stretching endlessly above quiet farms and sleeping towns. Children learned constellations not from apps or maps, but from parents pointing to the sky. That's the Big Dipper, or see that bright one? That's Venus. For many, the night sky was their entertainment, their calendar, and their compass, all in one. Shooting stars sparked excitement. The slow march of the moon marked the passing weeks, and the Milky Way was so bright it seemed to spill right into the treetops. The stars offered more than beauty, they offered connection. For families who worked hard from sunrise to sunset, those quiet moments under the sky were a time to breathe, talk, and dream. Young couples would walk home by starlight, while farmers read the skies for signs of coming weather. In a world without constant noise, the sky gave a sense of awe and belonging that modern life rarely slows down to feel. What's truly striking is that this nightly wonder has almost vanished. The same progress that brought us light also dimmed the stars that once shaped our ancestors' imaginations. To them, the sky was not distant. It was a familiar friend, a storyteller in its own right. And as the stars guided the night, mornings brought their own rhythm, one that began not with an alarm clock, but with the crow of a rooster and the smell of wood smoke rising with the dawn. 9. Waking with the rooster's call. Before alarm clocks and buzzing phones, mornings began the way nature intended, with the crow of a rooster breaking the stillness of dawn. In the days before electricity, timekeeping was more instinct than precision. The rooster, with his punctual crow, was every farmer's faithful alarm. As the first light crept over the fields, the rooster's call signaled that it was time to rise and work. Families stirred in their beds, the chill of night still lingering, and the scent of smoke from the rekindled hearth filled the air. For those living on farms or in small towns, the rooster wasn't just background noise, It was the sound of life beginning. It marked the rhythm of the day. Chores to be done, cows to be milked, and bread to be baked. People's internal clocks were set not by machines, but by the natural cycle of light, sound, and season. That simple morning ritual, waking with the rooster, connected people deeply to the land and to time itself. There was a quiet beauty in living by the sun rather than a schedule. No snooze buttons, no rush to beat traffic, just the steady pace of nature leading the way. Mornings were slow, deliberate, and purposeful, often beginning before the first rays of light touched the barn roofs. What's fascinating is that many families didn't need clocks at all. They could tell the time by the color of the sky, the chill in the air, or even the behavior of animals. Life moved to a rhythm we've almost forgotten, a rhythm that required no electricity, just awareness and routine. And once the household was awake, it was time for another daily ritual, one that filled the kitchen with warmth, air with aroma, and the stomach with comfort. The first pot of morning coffee brewed over an open flame. 10. Brewing morning coffee over an open fire. Before the hiss of electric kettles or the hum of coffee makers, there was a slower, more soulful way to start the day. Coffee, brewed over an open flame. In homes before electricity, the morning didn't begin with a flip of a switch. It began with the soft crackle of kindling catching fire. Someone, often the first to rise, would stoke the ashes left from the night before, adding a few sticks of wood until the fire roared back to life. Over that flame sat a blackened coffee pot, sometimes dented from years of use, filled with water and freshly ground beans. The process was simple, but it demanded patience. The water would slowly heat, the grounds would bubble and swirl, and the kitchen would fill with the deep, earthy aroma that signaled the start of another day. Families used what they had, sometimes chicory root or roasted grains if coffee beans were scarce, but the ritual was the same. Gather, pour, and sip together before the day's labor began. Coffee wasn't just a drink, it was connection. It warmed hands and hearts, and it brought people together before chores or travel scattered them across the fields. For many, that first cup beside the fire was the only moment of calm in an otherwise busy day. And because there was no rush, each sip felt earned. It wasn't convenience, it was comfort. What's remarkable is that for many families, that smoky, wood-fired flavor became part of their memories. The coffee might have had ashes in it or boiled too long, but it was made with care and shared in gratitude. In that simple morning ritual lived something we've largely lost: the beauty of starting slow, together, without a single cord plugged in. And once the coffee was poured and the day had begun, the next task was as vital as it was timeless: drawing water from the well, one heavy bucket at a time. 11. Drawing water from the well, for plumbing, faucets, or running taps. Every drop of water started with a simple, back-breaking ritual: owning a bucket into the earth and pulling up life itself. For families living before electricity, the well was the heart of daily survival. Every home had one, sometimes just a few steps from the kitchen door, other times a long walk down a dusty path. The well was dug by hand, lined with stones or wooden planks, and covered to keep animals out. Each morning, someone, often the strongest in the family, would take the wooden bucket, lower it into the darkness, and listen for the satisfying splash as it met the water below. Drawing the bucket back up wasn't easy. It took strength and balance, the rope rough against calloused hands. But that fresh, cold water was essential for everything: drinking, cooking, washing, and even cooling milk in summer. On hot days, children might gather around, taking turns sipping from the dipper, their laughter echoing off the stone walls of the well. Fetching water wasn't just a chore, it was rhythm and necessity. It connected people to the land and reminded them that even something as simple as a drink required work. In communities, neighbors sometimes shared wells, turning a daily task into a moment of conversation, gossip, or kindness. The well wasn't just a source of water, it was a symbol of life, self-reliance, and community. What's hard to imagine today is that this task was done in all-weather scorching heat, bitter cold, even before dawn. And yet there was pride in it. The taste of that water, cool, mineral-rich, and drawn by hand, was said to be purer than anything you could buy. Every sip carried the satisfaction of honest labor, a reminder that comfort once came not from convenience, but from effort. Smooth transition to next point, And once the water was drawn, it was time for another ritual that defined early homes washing clothes by hand. Nothing but a scrub board, soap, and patience.